Welcome to the Annie Jennings PR Real Stories of Success teleseminar series. Annie Jennings PR is a strategic marketing and publicity firm that offers advanced branding, publicity, and marketing services to clients. Annie Jennings PR helps clients achieve their optimal levels of success using media outreach and develops messages for clients, packages, and expands individuals, corporations, authors, and experts. Annie Jennings PR is well known for advising clients on exactly how to use their marketing dollars for optimal impact given their personal and professional set of circumstances. Annie Jennings also offers the famous pay-for-placement publicity strategy that allows clients to access the specific media exposure required by their marketing strategy without the high cost of monthly retainers. And Annie Jennings is the premier publicity expert in the country with her knowledge sought out by professionals and organizations everywhere, including AOL.com, TheStreet.com, Inc., Magazine, and also Fast Company, who is known for identifying trends as well as movers and shakers in any industry, who says that Annie Jennings PR is the place to go to learn how to become a best-selling author. And today's special guest is Generation Y lifestyle and finance expert Ornella Grosz, author of the book Moneylicious, a financial clue for Generation Y. Ornella holds Series 7, 63, and 65 security licenses, and she also has her degree in finance from California State University of Northridge and has appeared on numerous radio programs across the country, including ABC Radio in San Francisco as well as CBS radio affiliates in Indianapolis and St. Louis, including some of the top business radio shows in the country as well. So thank you so much, Ornella and Annie, for being with us today.
Thank you, Stacey. It's wonderful to have you introduce us so beautifully, so we appreciate you doing that. Stacey is our radio director at Annie Jennings PR. My guest today, as we mentioned, is Ornella Grosz, who's going to talk to us a little bit about really her real-life experience, how she found working with our company, what she learned, how is she going to use now her media assets to go out and expand herself, create national expert status, create new opportunities for herself. So we're going to hear directly from somebody who came to Annie Jennings PR. And Ornella, I actually forget how you were referred to us. Did you find us on the Internet?
Yes, I did find you on the Internet. I was Googling something about promoting authors or book authors, those type of keywords, and you just popped up numerous times. So.
Yeah. Did you say a million times?
Numerous.
No, numerous. Yeah. We do have an excellent Internet presence, and I want to thank you for contacting us initially. I was very excited. I remember when I did get a chance to speak with you, I knew you were going to do it. I knew it was going to be fabulous for you. I really knew you were going to be amazing. I saw your potential right away because I have pretty much a trained eye. I mean, I've worked with thousands of clients over the last 17 years, and I just knew that you had what it took, including the name of your book was really cool, Moneylicious. I mean, that's like amazing. That's like delicious.
Yes, and that's the point.
Yeah, the name was fabulous, especially since you're talking to Generation Y. So, again, right off the bat, I knew you would be fabulous. But you mentioned to me, and not at the time of our initial conversation, you really didn't talk about your history with publicity at the time. You were very open-minded, I found, to doing a campaign with us, and kind of signed up right away. I was impressed. I said, good, she knows what she wants. Good for her. But actually, as time went by, you mentioned that it wasn't really that way for you, that you were giving yourself a second chance with publicity, that you were looking at me, at working with Annie Jennings PR, as a fresh start and as a second chance. And I have to commend you for that because so many times people have an experience and they're not quite happy with, and they personalize it and actually then say, well, that's it, I'm done. But you didn't do that. Tell us a little bit about, just in general terms, you came to me having had not necessarily the best PR experience, but you were giving yourself another chance. So why did you do that?
Well, one of the things is that I am very passionate about what I had written in Moneylicious, and I'm very passionate about financial literacy anyways. And I realized that unless you don't have that sense of urgency, you will easily just stay in a sullied state of mind if you don't feel you've had the experience that you expected to have. And like I said, I'm very passionate about this because I feel it's very important, especially for Generation Y and X. But just because my last experience wasn't what I thought it was going to be, not to say that individual was terrible or anything, because, there was a lot of good things that came out of it. There were some successes, but not in regards to the radio or in other areas that I really, really wanted to see results in. And so when I spoke with you, I really like the fact that you're very straightforward, and that is what I can say I can sense about people is the genuine interest that you have in making sure that your clients are successful and willing to work with me within any price range. And I like the fact that once I started working with you and I ended up working with Stacy and Jason, they were just wonderful with the radio campaign. I was just so impressed with everything that they did, from either whether it's just emailing me right away. I swear I thought I was the only client they ever had. Because it was just so instant, working together. And that's what I have always wanted to see, was that if I'm going to work with someone, it's a business agreement. You're helping me promote what is it that I'm doing, and hopefully you enjoy what is it that you're doing when you're promoting the radio and all of that. And that's what you said. The people that work with you, you explained how they worked and what the mindset was, and I actually really appreciated that, because that's what I would like to see.
Exactly. Well, thank you for the kind words. And you mentioned that actually you liked a few things about us. You liked that we guaranteed our deliverables. You were impressed with the way that we presented our radio, and that it's a guaranteed deliverable, that we agreed on doing the 6 radio interviews. And I explained to Ornella that this is guaranteed, that you're going to get high impact, high listenership shows in major markets in the country, or regional or nationally syndicated shows. Or I would not be keeping her money. I told her that she would be getting a prorated refund, but I also warned her, I said, be ready, because we're going to be very successful. I'm not in the business of giving money back, but if it ever happened that I couldn't fulfill the contract, I certainly would. That's for sure. So I know you liked that, Ornella, right?
I did. I liked that the best. That was the best part, to hear the words guaranteed and tagged along with refunds. That you don't find too often. But but until business actually got started, I had to sign a contract. Mm-hmm. And so looking at the contract, for me, I know it sounds very analytical and maybe too detailed, but I have seen other contracts before, and whether it was real estate or lawyers, and it's like, can this just be in simple terms, just simple words? We don't need to put the jargon terms in there. And I like the fact that everything was just so neatly spelled out. This is what would happen if this happens. This is your responsibility as our client. This is our responsibility to you. It was just wonderful to see that I didn't have to decipher what I was signing.
Well, exactly. It's very straightforward, because I want you to know that I am going to guarantee the contract. And I also put in there everything we're not going to book. There's no college radio, there's no internet. Not because these shows aren't good. We love all media. It's because Ornella was here for a high-impact, high-listenership campaign. And these are the shows that broadcast to the heart of the marketplace. These are your name-brand shows. College and internet are all great for early starting and getting ready and developing your message, but Ornella was here for something big, and that's what we guarantee. You're going to get something big. So there was no internet, no college. I put it in there. No weekend shows, with an exception of 1 or 2 really good ones that we know. And then, no shows on the outskirts of any major markets, no shows in the middle of the night. Ornella was after the bigger hits. She wanted to reach the heart of the marketplace. And I put that right in the contract, that she was going to get these shows that fell within this profile, or they wouldn't count on her campaign. So I don't know if, Ornella, you got a chance to do that one weekend show. There is one weekend show that we do book, but it's free. It's free if we do it for you. No worries. We do it as a favor to the producer.
Mm-hmm. And that's actually one of the best things, is that if it is a weekend show, it's complimentary. And I did have one weekend show, but I didn't mind that it was at 9 o'clock at night, because this is what I signed up for.
Yeah, it's a complimentary interview. If a producer, falls in love with you for some reason and says, could you also do my weekend show? What are we going to say? No, we're going to let you have it with our pleasure.
Mm-hmm. And what I loved about that radio campaign is, even though it was guaranteed 6, I actually got almost double the radio show for the same price. And as I mentioned to you before, the one thing that I did was, so you can always see how, cost-effective things are. You have to see everything, you're running your own business. And I took the amount of price it was for the radio campaign, divided by all the radio shows that I've done, and realized that actually is quite affordable when you break down per radio show.
Yes, exactly, especially since you mentioned that you'd spent a lot more than that for no radio.
Yes, and that's, and that again is something that I have learned, that not all publicists are the same in providing the same results. Mm-hmm. And you start to learn where some people are more experienced in and able to provide you results in some areas, mm-hmm. and then others that are able to provide in a certain area. And the fact that you're straightforward and said, look, we don't do anything else. This is what we do. We do the radio. This is my niche. I've worked hard at this. This is where I'm going to provide you the results that you're looking for. And that's what I like, was straightforward. I didn't have to read between the lines, because that's how I am. Be direct so I know what's going on. And that's why it doesn't take me, if everything is directly said to me and it makes sense, I move forward.
You're right.
There's no need for me to double think about it again.
No double thinking. I like that.
Right.
You just do it. Signed, sealed, delivered, go. Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Especially since that's what I'm trying to do, is build myself. And mm-hmm. so I can't just stay, sad, or not sad, maybe a little unhappy, or maybe disgruntled about,
or disappointed.
Yeah, disappointed is more the word I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Just move on. And that's why I said I consider myself in January starting over with really more of a hardcore campaign, and I stuck with the radio, and now we're going to do some TV.
Now we're going to do some TV for you. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Right. Well, I know that you mentioned to me that you enjoyed the whole experience. You really learned a lot about yourself. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about how, by doing the radio, you really got a grasp on where your voice fits in the community, that is the conversation that's going on right now across America, and how that really helped you chart your future. You changed from focusing on book sales, you mentioned, to the bigger picture. What about my growth as an expert? What about my growth as a contributor to the society? What about my future? Where am I really going to make my money? From a book sale or from something so much bigger than that?
Right. That's actually very, very true. At first, when I had signed up, you might remember this, it was more about the book sales. I was like, I have a book, and I want to see more growth in the book sales. And then I learned, as I started to do the radio shows more and more, and then a revelation came about, and then later on you and I had spoke on the phone afterwards, where it just so happened to be more about branding. But that's what I'm kind of segueing into, is that I realize it has to be about me branding myself, and that my book is really a way for me to showcase my skills and talents, to bring that credibility. That's what my book is. The fact that I kept focusing so much on book sales is probably another reason why I didn't do as well with my PR attempts before.
Exactly. And I know I might have mentioned this to you, but there's over 1 million books available right now with the print-on-demand sector, up to 765,000 books in 2009. And this is from industry analyst Bowker. They follow the publishing industry. And that figure's up from 22,000 in 2006. So just the sheer number of books on the marketplace, given the reduced demand for books for many reasons, especially the economy, it painted a bleak picture for people who were in it for just book sales, because it doesn't work that way. A book is really only part of your overall marketing wheel. Right?
Yes, it is. And the one thing that I've learned as far as trying to sell books individually is that I'm actually looking at trying to sell the books more towards organizations, more as big corporate buys, and that's something else that I'm focusing on. And the individual sales will come about. I believe in what I had realized is, once I've branded myself as a strong financial expert, whether it's for Generation Y or Generation X, or they just want to hear somebody in the generation that has a strong opinion about what's going on in the world and how it affects them, that's the type of individual I want to see myself as, because these are all opinions and ideas and thoughts that I have anyways. And so I do my best to stay abreast with what's going on. And I think that's another reason why the radio campaign was so successful, is because I did stay abreast, and I was able to actually communicate with Stacy and Jason. Look, here are some news stories that I found. Maybe this will help with some of the pitches that you're doing, and seeing it as a teamwork.
Oh, yeah.
And that was, to me, I realized I need to actually brand myself that type of expert, and then the book sales will come.
That's exactly right, because that's what we're finding works well, too, is that people want to hear from the experts, the voice of, let's say, their generation in your case. And when they see you out there, they're looking to see, well, who is this person sharing this information with us? Where has she been? What are her accomplishments, credentials? What's her media bio like? And this is what people make. They make decisions based on your accomplishments in the industry. People who are in the business of hiring other people to come speak. You mentioned you're interested in doing some speaking circuits now, and maybe even your own show, I predict, for you down the line, because
that
why
would be
not?
Wonderful.
You're perfect.
That would be wonderful.
You're Generation Y, and why not? Everyone's looking for the next big thing. You just have to be it. You have to package yourself to be the next big thing. Create certainty in the minds of the person whose job it is to hunt down new talent and hire new talent or hire speakers. Create certainty that you are going to do a tremendous job for them. You do that by being fabulous, and of course the radio campaign gives you a huge skill set that helps tremendously in being great in front of any audience. And it also gives you the credentials you need to show that you're rising above the rest in your industry. And people want to hire superstars. They want to hire the stars of the industry. You have to craft this for yourself. You have to build what I call media assets. And these media assets act as proof that if someone hires you, they're not going to be disappointed. And that's the whole idea, is to build yourself up. It's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. Build yourself up so that whoever says, yeah, let's have Ornella come and speak to our group. But they know you're going to do a good job because you have all the proof you're going to do a good job, given your accomplishments, credentials, and previous media history. They feel really good about hiring you. And then they're confident. And then you will get the job. You will get these opportunities. And that's where your book sales are going to come from, because guess what? Not only do you get paid for doing the event, but now they're going to buy a bulk of books from you as well.
That's correct.
So it's a really good strategy just to use your book, again, to showcase your area of expertise and brand yourself as a very, very up-and-coming expert in the field and then an accomplished expert in the field. We use the ladder strategy, Ornella, and this is where you come in at a certain level and you just build up your media. You use each level, you leverage that so that you qualify for the next level of media. And then you qualify for the next level, and then pretty soon you're on the major cable finance shows. I mean, when you make it to that level, you've made it. You want to be at the top, you got to play at the top, and that's called playing at the top. So who's not going to hire Ornella if they see a media history that has all the big shows, has lots of impressive media credentials, including many shows up there at the highest level of media, such as Fox Business, Fox, CNN, CNBC. That's the idea of growth. You build, and you don't stay at any level too long, because that doesn't do you any good. You don't need to have a lot of very early entry-level placements on your media bio. You need to be always showing that you're getting bigger and bigger, stronger and stronger over time, right? And this way, you always begin by showcasing your most impressive event in your media bio. And there you go. What's not to hire? It's funny. I know. I don't know if I've ever told you this story, but I've mentioned it in some of my previous teleseminars. But this is exactly the philosophy in play. Is where I live here in the Princeton area. Somebody moved into town, and I found out that they were the human resource director of a really big pharmaceutical company, and Princeton's loaded with them. And his job was to hire the speakers. All right, the keynotes, the workshops, this is what he did. So I said, oh, juicy, hello, I'm going to ask him. I'm going to say, how do you go about hiring the person? What is it you look for? I was hoping to get like an hour's worth of information, right, from this guy. I was hoping to get insider strategy, get a look and feel into his mind and all this stuff. So you know what he says to me? Ornella, he goes, I hire the person who won't get me fired. And that was brilliant, because think about that, though. That one simple line means he has to be certain that they're experts. He has to see their testimonials. He has to see they have experience, their media bio. All these things go into that decision. He has to hire somebody who will not get him fired.
Right, and I remember that was actually one of the things that I learned as I was working on the radio campaign. And that was, one of the things that you mentioned, and actually Stacy even mentioned that, and even Jason, when he actually, which was awesome, by the way, to have a media trainer with, just to turn to him anytime I had a question about anything in regards to the radio, about the way I answer my questions or how to plug in my book. It was just great to have that resource. But that's actually one of the things they said, is that, as long as, of course, they bring in the right clients, the producer will not get fired. As long as
that's exactly right.
The expert that they bring on the radio does a good job, and the producer doesn't get in trouble. They don't get fined.
That's right.
And once they told me that, then when I started to speak on the radio, I actually kept that in the back of my mind.
Oh.
That, okay, I have to make sure I actually do a good job, because if I don't, then the producer is going to tell Stacy and Jason, Ornella didn't do up to par, not what you made her out to be. And that's what I didn't want to hear. And I remember I actually emailed Jason, did you get an email back with anything negative? and he was like, no.
We always say. Yes, that's very true, because think about it. Somebody has to take the fall if an expert isn't good. And usually it's the booking producer, and of course it's the publicist. The producer then can't trust the publicist anymore. Yeah, so you see this has a domino effect. This is why we made sure you were good and ready to go. We offer unlimited media training. We create all the perfect segments that match the profile of the shows, because there is that domino effect, and we are successful, and we want to maintain our position at the top. So that means you have to be fabulous and ready to go right away out the door for these bookings, because the producer then, they would take the fall on their end if you weren't good, because then the executive producer calls them over and says, so why did you book this person? Show me why you made the choice. And they have to be able to defend their choice of the expert or guest that they put on the show. So that's why you have to be really good, so that you don't trigger this whole chain of events that we didn't really like this expert. Why did you book them? And the producer has like a demerit, and then 2 demerits. Who knows when the third demerit, what will happen to that? So we keep that in mind too. The responsibility of every single person in the process to do a great job, just for the betterment of all, for everyone. We create the triple win. And the triple win is the host needs a fabulous show. They need to be so good. I mean, they need to have this show be fabulous, because remember, it's about ratings for the show and the network, and these ratings are monitored, and they set the advertising rates, right? So the host needs a great show. The listeners, they're there. It's their time. They're choosing to listen. They need to have some amazing takeaways. So the show's got to be a great win for the listeners too. And then the guest going on has to have the chance to share their message with all over the world, all over the country. They get a chance to live their book, out loud, live their message in motion, experience their destiny playing out for real to big audiences. And then the guest also has to have a chance to promote your book. You're allowed to do that. You are allowed to mention your website, the name of your book, and it usually comes at the end of an interview, because you have to gain the trust of the host and the listeners. If you start out right away promoting the book too fast, well, everybody just turn off because they're sick of it. They're sick of everybody selling them something. They want real. They want sincerity. They want somebody who cares about their financial situation. And then once you demonstrate your knowledge, it's like an audition, and they start to get to know you and trust you. It seems logical that they're going to want to know how they can become a member of your community, follow you on Facebook, or buy your book, which is why we always recommend the book promotion comes in more towards the end, after you've already demonstrated that you know your expertise and you have some amazing tips. And then that's the triple win. So then the host says, yeah, everybody go get Ornella's books. And the audience says, yeah, I'm going to do that. Amazon.com, here I come.
Right.
See? And then Ornella's happy too. That's called the triple win. So, is there anything you'd like to add to somebody listening who just says, maybe they had that bad experience, and they're listening saying, like, wow, I just hope I can get back in the ring again. I mean, what would you have to say to that person?
Well, here's what I would have to say. It kind of goes back to what I said earlier, is that I believe in what it is that I'm trying to promote or say, or what my message is or mission. It's going back to branding yourself, knowing that you are your own business. So if you have this business that you want to see come off the ground, and even though other attempts didn't work out the way you wanted it to, if you need a minute to just, be disappointed, that's very natural. Be disappointed for a while, that's fine. Leave the business alone. But once you're done doing that, then snap out of it and decide. That's where you have to make that decision. Do you want to have this business or this career that you are creating for yourself take off? And if it is, and you're going to look into your firm, Annie Jennings PR, you definitely have trust, because you will get the guaranteed results. And once you see the guaranteed results, you're not going to feel disappointed anymore. You feel like, okay, I can get back into it, and then your creative juices start rolling again. And so don't let disappointments or setbacks, because one thing I've learned, and I've encountered other people actually, and maybe that's some of my advantage, is that I have encountered other people who have not been successful in the beginning, took hard work, and eventually they became, and going through some of those adversities gives success a very sweet taste, and it gives you such a wonderful feeling once you get there. And I already know that with the radio campaign that I have, okay, great, I can package this. And, and the woman I'm using to help me with the college speaking, I can send her all this, radio, wonderful stuff that I've done, and now that I'm going to do some TV and package all of that, so that's even better for the colleges who are going to see, oh, wow, this is great. She's been on TV, she's been on all this radio, and so I can only see it benefiting me and not hurting me.
Well, that's wonderful. I appreciate you sharing that with our listeners. That's very kind of you. I'm glad it's all worked out for you. I mean, I do predict we're going to see you as the host of your own TV show. So even a reality money show, turning Generation Y around in terms of financial savvy. Wouldn't that be fun? You take people who feel they're under-earning in their businesses or maybe in life in general, and then you see if you can do like a reality show makeover on them.
Yeah,
I see that for you. I really think you'd be fabulous.
Thanks. I appreciate that. It was just great. It was so much. I really enjoyed it, and it really is because, again, working with the radio, it is great working with Stacy and Jason. They make it fun and exciting, and, one thing I have to say, though, what really helps really finding your voice is that when you have someone like Jason listening to you on the radio, he can give you tips. Mm-hmm. You did very well in this, Ornella. But I noticed that you said a lot in my first radio show, and I didn't realize that. And so sometimes hearing that wonderful constructive criticism really helps you more than as long as you take it as constructive criticism and not just straight negative.
Well, especially from Jason, who is so kind. I mean, he's so kind. That's why we love working with him. He's a member of our firm. He is a former news producer for a very big radio show, and he was responsible for bringing that show up into one of the heavy 100. He would book the guests, and he would plan out the shows for the day. So he has tremendous experience. And Jason is our media trainer who offers our clients, like Ornella, unlimited media training, unlimited access to Jason you have. And you know what he does? He'll listen to your radio interviews, especially if they stream online or if we get copies. I mean, he will listen to them, and then he'll be able to come back and say, very, very good, and here's what I suggest you do in a situation like this. And he's just so nice about it all. A lot of people are a little nervous at first, and I like Jason because he's so comforting. He's very, very, I'll say it, just very gentle. Gentle and knowledgeable. I mean, that's a good combination.
That is an excellent combination. It does. It makes it so much easier, and you're much more comfortable with the radio. And it was just all around just a wonderful experience. And I'd say if anyone, who's looking into PR and they come across your website and they might have been burned before, it really doesn't hurt you to give it another chance. The worst case scenario, you'll get a prorated refund. I mean,
which I don't plan to fail. So I warn people, you're going to be successful, so watch out. Get ready, because you are going to spend a little bit of money here, but it's going to be worth it because you're getting media assets.
Yeah, and plus with some people, in the past they may have worked with, they don't usually. They'll always say, I guarantee, but then they never deliver.
Oh, yeah.
And that's probably why people feel burned all the time. But
always.
Not with you guys, though.
Well, thank you.
Nothing to worry there.
No, I know it happens. I mean, there's not a day that goes by where I don't get a phone call from somebody with a story very similar. And my heart breaks really goes out to them because I understand that. I know, our commitment is of excellence. We're here for the betterment of all. So that means that you guys have to be good, and that means we're living our mission statement. So there's a bigger picture here. This is about us living our destiny in the way that, is meant to be, we're meant to do it in this world. And we have a unique talent. We're able to take experts, find your voice, craft, develop, expand your voice given your area of expertise and all the assets you bring to the table, and just increase it and magnify it so for the whole world to hear. And that's our bigger mission statement. So I love hearing these stories. Ornella, how can people get in touch with you if they'd like to find out more about what it is you can do for them in terms of, financial information, or maybe even hire you for a speaking event?
The best way to go is actually go to moneyliciousbook.com. It has my contact information.
Mm-hmm.
And if they want to grab a copy of the book, just, again, moneyliciousbook.com is the best place because it has my email address and it goes directly to my email address as well as the publicist is handling the speaking.
Okay, very good. So that's Moneylicious, like in delicious. Moneylicious, I love that name. A financial clue for Generation Y. So her website is moneyliciousbook.com. And we've been speaking with Ornella Grosz. That's Ornella, Grosz. Ornella Grosz. And I want to thank Ornella. Thank you so much for being on the show today. And I just hope we can help a lot of people.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thank you.
My pleasure. All right, we'll talk to you next time.
See ya. Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye-bye.